the man who portrayed the Lone Ranger, Clayton Moore, the man who dedicated his life and career to upholding the images and the principles for which this mask stood.
You think you know the Lone Ranger? You think you know the man behind the mask? Think again, because what happened off-screen was darker, more heartbreaking, and more heroic than anything he ever rode into on television. But the real story is still left. Join us as we uncover everything Clayton Moore's real story. The mask wasn't just a costume. He looked like a man born for the saddle. Confident, righteous, noble. Clayton Moore was the Lone Ranger, but that image, carefully carved over decades, masked a storm of betrayal, personal tragedy, and a fight for identity that almost broke him. Born Jack Carlton Moore, on September 14, 1914 in Chicago, he came from privilege. While America groaned through the Great Depression, Jack's family had a maid and a vacation home in Canada. But behind that polished life was a boy dangling from tree limbs, dreaming of flying, not in planes, but as a circus acrobat. And he made that dream real. By 19, Jack was the catcher in a professional trapeze act called the Flying Bears. No safety nets, no second chances. Just raw strength, grace, and faith. Faith that someone would catch you mid-air. That same year, he wowed crowds at the Chicago World's Fair. A faceless performer, defying gravity. Then someone noticed. The cameras weren't rolling yet, but talent scouts knew a face that could sell the American dream. He moved to New York, signed with the prestigious John Robert Powers Agency, and filled magazine pages and catalogs with that all-American look. But something gnawed at him. Pictures didn't move. Pictures didn't speak. So in 1938, he ditched the runways for Hollywood. No contracts, no roles, just ambition and a suitcase. You've heard of actors paying their dues? Clayton lived it. Bit parts, stunts, silent walk-ons. But unlike the ones who complained, he studied the craft like science. He dissected scripts, studied light, watched how actors commanded a room. Then a producer changed everything, along with his name. Jack Moore became Clayton Moore. Suddenly he had a persona, a hero in the making. A hero on screen, a soldier at heart. 1942. Hollywood finally took notice. Republic Pictures cast him in Perils of Neoka. He rode horses, fought villains, and even did mock brain surgery inside a cave. Because, well, it was the 40s. His stunts weren't performed, they were lived. Moore was a natural, a man who didn't need doubles. And then, just as he was on the brink, he walked away. World War II had called. Despite a knee injury, Moore joined the Army Air Forces. He entertained troops, coordinated base shows, and produced military training films. He wasn't on the front lines, but he served where it counted. And during that service, he found something stronger than fame. He found Sally Allen. They married in wartime fashion. Fast, hopeful, fearless. That marriage lasted 43 years, a rock through Hollywood storms. But did that steadfast love ever clash with the ever-wandering fame machine? Hollywood Westerns and the birth of the mask. Post-war, Moore sprinted back to the screen. Westerns were booming, and he was in his element. Between 1946 and 1947 alone, he starred in a flurry of films. Working alongside Roy Rogers and Gene Autry, Moore didn't just ride horses. He became part of American mythology. Then came Jesse James. Clayton Moore's portrayal wasn't a cartoon outlaw, it was layered, sympathetic. It showed that heroes could be flawed and villains could feel human. It was only a matter of time before someone cast him as the hero. That someone was George W. Trendle. When Moore walked into the audition for The Lone Ranger, he didn't wait to be cast. He stared Trendle down and said, "Mr. Trendle, I am the Lone Ranger." And he was. The show premiered in 1949. Families gathered in front of black and white TVs to watch Moore ride into justice. He was the Lone Ranger, physically, vocally, spiritually, but off-screen, things weren't so heroic. Trendle hated Moore's voice, said it didn't match the radio version. Moore didn't argue. He took voice lessons, perfected the cadence, nailed the delivery. Eventually, the voice became iconic. And yet, by 1952, he was fired. No explanation, no warning. Replaced by John Hart. Fans were confused. Ratings dropped. What happened? Was it money? Control? Did Moore dare ask for a slice of the exploding merchandise profits? Maybe. Maybe not. His daughter believed he wasn't the kind of man to demand money. But someone feared his influence. Still, you can't erase authenticity. The replacement flopped. Moore was invited back, quietly and with a raise. No confrontation. Just a cowboy walking back into town like nothing ever happened. But that mask, it was beginning to feel heavier. The mask they tried to strip away. From 1953 onward, Moore embodied the Lone Ranger. He stayed fit, rode hard, did his own stunts into his 70s. He made public appearances, recited the Ranger's Creed, and signed silver toy guns for awestruck kids. But then came 1979, and a courtroom tried to do what no villain ever could, take away his mask. Jack Rather, who now owned the rights to the Lone Ranger, feared that Moore's appearances would confuse audiences ahead of a new $18 million film. He sued. A judge ruled Moore could no longer wear the mask in public. Imagine that. The man who defined the legend told he could no longer be him. So what did Moore do? He put on sunglasses, partnered with Foster Grant. The public got the message. They knew who was behind the shades. Did the lawsuit break him? It could have. But instead, it became his greatest role, fighting for legacy. Over 1 million fans signed petitions. Hundreds of thousands wrote letters. And after 5 long years, he won. He got the mask back, but at a cost. A life behind the legend. Clayton Moore's personal life didn't mirror the glory of the silver screen. After losing Sally, his rock for over 4 decades, he remarried, but it didn't last. By the end of the 80s, he was aging, battling loneliness, and watching his own legend grow distant. He clung to the code, still made public appearances, still tried to protect the image. He didn't want fans to see him frail. He didn't want to taint the symbol. In his final days, he held hands with Clarita, his last wife, as his body failed. But even then, he reached for her, to comfort her. His strength, his courage, it didn't fade with age. December 28, 1999. Moore died of a heart attack, just after Christmas, just before the turn of the millennium. It felt cinematic, like the final curtain on an era that would never return. But the story didn't end there. His mask is now in the Smithsonian. He has a Hollywood star that uniquely reads Clayton Moore, the Lone Ranger. No other actor ever earned that dual recognition. And in 2009, the U.S. Postal Service issued a commemorative stamp. His face, his horse, his legend. He had said it best in his book, Mr. Trendle, I am the Lone Ranger. And he never stopped being him. Still believe TV heroes are just fiction? Clayton Moore blurred the line. He became the creed he recited. He lived the values he portrayed. And even in courtrooms, in old age, in the shadows of betrayal, he never took the mask off for the wrong reason. So what do you think? Was he just an actor? Or was he something more? Drop your thoughts in the comments, like if this story moved you. Subscribe for more Untold Hollywood Legends, and don't forget to hit that bell icon so you never miss a tale that's still left to be told.